single pandemic since 1918 the world has ever seen. And as far as I know, living in a land of reality, Jamaica is still in that world. And yet we get up and we hear different speakers speak as if when the Minister of Finance was crafting his budget, he was existing in a world that did not have a pandemic. So when we were in 2019, up until March, at a place where the economy was not going to shrink by 10%, but we would have had a GDP at the end of the year of 0.5% greater than our debt, that is forgotten. Well, we cannot dream away on this side, Mr. President, that a pandemic exists. So when I hear the leader of opposition business, Senator Bunting and Senator Crawford, and because of the supporting and the knocking off the desks, others are calling for us at this time when our tax revenues are significantly down, as they would admit, as they clearly, Senator Brown just said, the economy has shrunk by 10%, so you know our tax collection is down. Yet in that very economy, when because of our good policies in the past, we've been able to save $90 billion to take us this far, they are calling for additional debt. I wonder if former president of the PNP, Dr. Phillips, who had to be at the IMF, be in some cases, from what I hear, almost abused by the IMF because of the position we were in. Not because the IMF were abusive, but because of the facts of our situation in Jamaica. And I wonder if he would be saying to us now, at this stage in our life, in our economic life, go out and borrow more money and spend it so that he may have to advise those who may be leading that party to go back and negotiate from a position of weakness. We do not want that. So our policies are good ones. We are making sure that while we make arrangements to take care of the pandemic and the people who are suffering by giving them even cash in some instances, we cannot just go out and borrow money and spend as if there is no tomorrow, or that we're going to have the resources to earn it back in less than 2 generations. We've been there, and we don't want to go back there. So when a former banker, the leader of government, of the opposition business on the other side, would label Minister Clark's budget as fiscally conservative and may have been considered responsible, and then says, go and borrow and spend as you want, where is the fantasy, Senator Brown? Not on this side. Not on this side. Okay? So we're going to make sure that we stay within where we must live. And you say we're unresponsive and we spend inadequately, and we have 60 billion in that special Jamaica grow arrangement that we just disclosed. How can you say that? And then that fine former banker, who is now the leader of the opposition business, where I hope he will stay for quite a long time, comes and he quotes a professor from the university who knows how to spend taxpayers' money. They spend and they spend and they spend. But that professor has never created one job that I know of. I know him. He's never run a company that has made any money. I know him. Not that I know of. Not that is public. But he knows how to spend taxpayers' money. And the leader of the opposition business comes and quotes him as the person we should be following when we make our budgets. who is living in fantasy land. On the other side, not us. Then let us look at the issue of crime. And as I sat there and listened to the leader of opposition business, I said to myself, this man must be an extremely brave man. Because he was the one that the leader of my party, the Prime Minister of this country, went to in 2010 and beseeched him. So please let us extend. Yes, because if we had gone to Montego Bay that time, the crime situation, St. Catherine, would not be the way it is today. Crime would have been under control. But he came back to you under the SOE that you're decrying. And incidentally, when you look at the SOE, the areas that murders went down were the areas where SOE was. Look at the number. Look at St. James. Look at where it is. And we came back, and all that was done is oppose, because, the SOE is not the crime plan. It's one aspect of the crime plan. When you have crime that has been growing for 40, 50 years, and 27 years up to 2016, out of those 27 years, you ran the country. Your party ran the country. Don't tell me about crime and where it is. Let's look at the reality. Crime didn't happen yesterday, and it's not going to solve in one day, and you know better than that. You were over there, and we asked you to continue the state of emergency, and you opposed it. You have no right to talk on crime. You have no right to talk on crime. Okay? So here we are, Mr. President. Let us move from that and leave him over there to wallow in the crime. But I listen to my eminent friend. And I know he understands numbers. Goats or egg, whichever one you want. I know he understands numbers. And so when I heard him talking about the numbers, I read his speech. Incidentally, Mr. President, the speech was presented to us. It's not paginated. I had to go search and find out that is on page 6 him talking about. Then I have to go to another page 13, I think, that him talk about. You didn't paginate the page. It is a reflection possibly of the presentation he was about to make. And now there are people speaking that you didn't even write the speech. How unkind can they be? How unkind can they be? I do not support that at all. So, Mr. President, I went to page 6 of the speech. Yes, I'm getting there, Mr. President, but I have to address this because it's important. My Senate colleague across the way said many times, as the leader of government business pointed out, he called the Minister of Finance in this, at the top of page, unnumbered, number 6, however, the more egregious and deceptive aspect of Minister Clark's critique. So let me say this. Then he went on to say, talked about the modeling done by various institutions compared to Staten. I'll say this. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Clark, a no mean respecter of academic analysis, and himself a keen and sharp user of theoretical modeling, having earned a PhD in quantum mathematics, which you studied, from Oxford, not some any little place. He simply, I say to you, Minister, prefers Staten's underground collection of data than some, which is hard data, than some data collected from a sterile modeling source or institution. So that preference should not make him deceptive. What you should say, you might not agree with his preference, but to call him deceptive, no, it's hard data from Statin. You don't like that one. You like the theoretical one. Dr. Clark loves the hard data from Statin. The COVAX, the 16%, Mr. President, that's a COVAX arrangement that we were in part internationally to be able to get vaccines. That's not at the foot of the Minister of Health. And you know something? I look at your numbers again. This is the last thing I'm going to say about what you guys say over there. On page, which I had to number, unpaginated page 13, when you count it, it's actually page, when you look at what you say there, okay, actually page 12. You're a numbers man. Mr. President, that senator over there, that same senator, a numbers man who is teaching people mathematics, and he knows mathematics. I know that. I've talked to him. You know what he's behaving like? And I'm sorry, the former Senator Kerenzia Morrison is here today. He's behaving like a one-eye man in a blind eye museum. Him have all of them over there clap behind him. And let me tell you what he's done. And you look at the number, what he's done. Senator Damion, please. Here's the man. No, man, Senator Morris understands it. He understands the phraseology. Mr. President, a person able to spend 20 million. He's 20 million. He grabbed the number from the air. He must go up a mountain top up there, so, and grab the number from the air. 20 million. For a year before taxes benefited 300,000. For him number again, him grab that one from downtown. Then you notice the two of them, then 200,000, 3,000 of it is in both instances 1.5. The man loves the number. He loves 1.5. He loves 1.5 in both instances, and these are numbers he grabbed to make sure he can make 1.5. But Mr. President, there's a problem. Those who spend, those who earn less at the lower level spend a lot more of their disposable income because they're poorer. So he know this one-man business in a blind eye museum take a number that he chooses that has no relevance in reality, no Statin backing, and just say, oh, and you could get it from Statin, you know, you could know how much poor people spend out of their income. But you want to bamboozle them and confuse them who are clapped behind you in the one-eye museum. Don't do that. So I'm saying to you, Mr. President, this is not correct. It's not true what he's saying, and it has no basis in reality. No basis. This is what, no basis in reality. So, Mr. President, and so I'm going to end this way, Mr. President. The senator is a learned young senator. He has a brand to keep building. Unfortunately, when he takes on the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, on numbers, his brand is going to be tarnished. You can't handle that kind of pressure. So please don't go there. So I'm going to say to you that although he likes big words, because I'm from the country, and them kind of words that would be big to me, egregious, deceptive, all them kind of big words there, at Monroe, we have to study it like for 3 months before we get them. Them coming at the Senate and they use them, Mr. President, against the Honorable Minister of Finance. Brand is going to be tarnished. So I said, don't tarnish your brand. And yes, on a pandemic, we probably will come back at some time for a supplementary budget. It's normal. In normal times, in pandemic, you should expect it. We don't know. We trust that we will begin to grow very quickly in the new fiscal year. Mr. President, I recommend to you this well thought out, well presented, maybe called conservative, but protecting our fiscal position. I present this budget to you as one that is well thought out, and I support it completely.